Bright and Distant Shores takes place in 1897, and part of the novel takes place in Chicago, and the other half takes place in the Pacific Islands. It's essentially the story of an insurance magnate who sponsors a collecting voyage into the Pacific, and he wants to bring back a whole host of artifacts. But he has also recently built the world's tallest building and wants to bring back some Melanesian natives for a rooftop exhibition. So the novel in some ways is about this collision course between the people who go on the Pacific voyage and the Melanesian tribal people who come back to Chicago at that time. The story had a couple different sources. The main one was I was interested in this story about Franz Boas, who was friends with the explorer Robert Peary, and in 1897 the two of them decided to bring back about 6 Inuit to New York City for kind of to study them, basically. The phrase that Boas used was kind of to be able to study them without fear of frostbite. So there were 6 Inuit that came to New York, and they were essentially housed in the basement of the Museum of Natural History. And by the end of the first year, 5 of them had died of tuberculosis and various other things, and there was 1 remaining Inuit. So I became very interested in this idea of contact between cultures, about the ethics of museum collecting, and just so that was one of the kind of ideas that fueled the initial novel. In some ways, the novel came out of a combination of the historical setting and the characters. I was definitely interested in this idea from the Boas story of native peoples coming to a city like New York or a city like Chicago at the end of the 19th century. So that was kind of a frame of the story. But what I didn't have at that point was I didn't really know who the people were in this novel. And so the idea of the 2 main characters, Owen, who's kind of the Chicago South Side collector who goes on this voyage and who wants to kind of foist himself up into respectability and into the middle class. And Argus, who's the Melanesian houseboy who comes back as one of the people on this voyage. Once I had the idea for those characters, they started to kind of set the frame for the rest of the story.